Hello everyone, and welcome to Kareniya's room. So I'm taking this again because my first recording had no audio, so that's great. But as you can see from here, I'm taking a tier list again. This is going to be our tier list from fall 2023, which is our current anime season full of all sorts of goodies. So, naturally, we're going to have our basic categories where the S tier is being the very best, in my personal opinion anyway, going down to the very worst, or at least stuff that I didn't really think was all that interesting or good. So I want to add a couple of rows here, and I'm going to add new categories. So first, we're going to have the on hold category, and then we're going to have the skip category. Now this one, I'm going to change the color to gray, and I'm going to change this color to pink, just so we have a good color coordination. So you already know how these videos go. We take all this stuff and we rank it. So let's cut to the chase and let's do it. Starting with our first skip, Shield Hero Season 2. Simple reason I'm skipping this one is because I gave up halfway into Shield Hero Season 2 and I never looked back. So I don't see any reason to watch Shield Hero Season 3 if I've already lost interest in that series right away. Season 1 is good though, in my personal opinion, so at least give Season 2 or Season 1 a watch. If you like Season 2, maybe it'll be up your alley, but it wasn't for me, bro. So I skipped that rest of it, and now I'm not watching this. Another skip we have here is Idolmaster, which I think is Idolmaster Million Live. Let me just make sure. I know it's Idolmaster because I recognize some of these characters. I'm just not sure which Idolmaster it is, because Idolmaster has tons and tons of different spin-offs. And just to make sure of myself, I don't even see it here. Oh, it's right here. Okay, it's a different poster. Yeah, it's Idolmaster Million Live. All right, excellent. Then we have this one, which I'm trying to remember the name of here. I'm not going to know a lot of these names because I haven't seen every single show here, but some of the posters here and whatever are there. Okay, so I don't recognize these. I'm going to be honest with you. I did see it in my last recording. I'm just trying to find out where it was. But I must be blind because I don't see it. I'm sorry if I'm just leaving you in silence, but it is what it is. I'm not finding it, so I'm just going to say whatever. I skip. There. All right, moving on. We have Rail Romanesque Season 2 skip. I've never seen it, so I don't care. Goblin Slayer Season 2. I haven't seen the original Goblin Slayer, so it's there. Akuma-kun is the name of this one. This is a Netflix show. I have not seen this one just yet, but it is on my on-hold list, so it will be watched eventually. On to our first show that we've seen, though, is Under Ninja, which gets a C. I think the art is a choice. I'm not too big on the designs of the characters, but I do think that it has a decent amount of action, and I think the interactions between a lot of the characters, especially the one lady that we meet in the first episode, I don't remember what her name is, but she's the drunk. I think she's kind of fun. But other than that, I'm not too big on it. The only thing I really remember otherwise from this show is the opening scene with like the Americans being like soldiers just speaking English, because it came out of nowhere for me. Like whenever I hear English in anime and it's like actually spoken English, like it takes me off guard because I'm not expecting it. But I mean, it's fine. I've heard some people like it, just not really for me. Then we have the Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy. I did not really like this one, so I gave it one episode and I thought that was enough. It's just about, series with magic and guns. Like, literally, they have guns. And that's all I really remember about it. So, that's it. And I believe that the main boy is the demon lord, who is now like a 10-year-old boy. So that's the only other thing I remember, because they always like kind of tease him about it or something, like in the show. I don't know. Heat the Pig Liver. It's going to get a C. I dropped this one, but I will at least still give it a C. It's an interesting idea for a story. Man gets food poisoning from pig liver and essentially becomes a pig in a world with these people, like this woman here named Jess. She is a Yethma, or Yesma, whatever it is. They say it different. I think it's Yethma. That's how they write it in translations. And these are people who have special collars. I made the joke about the choker in the video, but it's a collar that helps you with telepathy, which is a power that the Yethmen have. So she can completely hear whatever Pigman is saying, which leads to some... Sorry about that. It leads to some issues, because he's kind of a perverted man in a pig's body. So naturally some things will ensue. I only gave this really a few episodes before I kind of called it quits. It's nothing really all that special. You kind of get what's on the tin, and it's whatever. Moving on to something that actually is pretty damn quality, Migi and Dolly. I really love Migi and Dolly. This is a great show. This is made by the same creator of the manga Sakamoto desu ka, who I think recently died this year. And this is a story about these two boys named Migi and Dolly, who were adopted by a new family after their mother had died. But they are pretending to play the role of one person, even though it is a 2-in-1. And they're trying to discover the mystery on what happened to their mother in the village that they're living in, because the village has a lot of mystery to it and a lot of secrets that are being held. We do learn some details around the midway point about what is really going on and what has happened with the mother. And I won't get into spoiler territory, because I think it's better to watch it. It's always better to watch something mystery and go in kind of blind. But it's interesting. I really love the dynamic between Migi and Dolly, even though at times it can be definitely a bit sour at times. I don't want to get too spoilery about it, but there is a particular little, it's kind of a mini arc, maybe it's in an episode or two, related to one of the brothers, either Migi or Dolly. I think it was Migi, who was not doing so well in school, and in order to kind of boost his confidence, Dolly cross-dresses and becomes Sally, and tries to be like this girl who's like being very, playful with Migi. They even go on a date, even though it's painfully obvious that Migi is just so like blind to the fact that it's his own brother, the person that he spent all his life with, and he can't even... It's like the literal Clark Kent. You put on a wig and suddenly you're mysterious. You don't know who they are. But it's kind of like that. And then like there's a lot of weird animation choices, but it's kind of quirky. Like when they laugh, they have this really weird like jolting seizure movement. It's kind of funny. And they, as you can see in the OP, they like to slither like a snake. Like it's a choice, but it's a choice that I really much like. If you want to give Migi and Dolly a chance, I recommend giving it a chance. Absolutely, it is a great show. I'm debating whether I put it in the S. For now, I'm sticking it in A, because I think it's a great show. But there is also a lot of tough competition for it in the S category. But we'll come back to that. This particular show, what is this one with the girl with the orange hair standing in the background of something? Let's find out, because I'm not actually familiar with this poster. Because there are certain posters that I see for like maybe a second and I'm like, what is this? But then I don't know. So let's take a look together, shall we? Now this is all on MyAnimeList. They could be different in other places. They don't obviously count shows that are airing from previous seasons, which I will quickly throw in an addendum here because I couldn't talk about them in my summer video. Dark Gathering, Rurouni Kenshin, and Helk, all fantastic. Ignore what the rating for Helk is. It is a fantastic show. And I think that they're doing that extremely dirty by rating it that poorly. Like, Dark Gathering is great, but I think Helk just recently surpassed it in terms of quality. And I'm so sad that it's going to be ending pretty soon, because it's such a good show. And Rurouni Kenshin, too, is also ending here pretty soon, but it is phenomenal. You know, I never really thought about Rurouni Kenshin, but you fans of Rurouni Kenshin are right. But anyway, enough of glazing on about that. I don't know why I just closed that tab, so whatever. Alright, we're just going to ignore it, put it in the skip, because I don't know what this is. I skipped MF Ghost. I have no interest in watching racing shows. I skipped this one too. And some of these are kind of hard to read. This is Fooly Cooly Grunge. Didn't watch. I've never seen the original Fooly Cooly. I might go watch it eventually. But I've heard that the Fooly Cooly reboots are not very good. But I will be the judge of that for myself later. But for now, it's a skip. This, I don't know what this one is, so I skip. Ragna Crimson is going to get a D. I do not care for this show at all, really. I like the main girl that was in there, the one that the main boy is protecting with his crazy god powers. But other than that, like the whole, like it begins as a 40-minute episode, and by the 30-minute mark, I just called it quits. I couldn't really keep going. I just wasn't for me. I'm sorry. It just really wasn't for me. So I didn't bother. I don't know what this is, but this is a very interesting thumbnail. But I'm going to put it here because I didn't watch it. I don't really recognize what this one is either. Okay, let's just put some of the stuff that I don't recognize in here, because there's a lot that I don't recognize and a lot that I didn't watch because of time constraints. So let's move on to something that's actually going to get our first S tier. Shangri-La Frontier. So I mentioned before in my video, this is an anime about a guy named who goes by the name Sunraku in video games. I don't remember what his actual name is. But he likes to play shitty games because in the age of VR, where now everything has basically become possible in VR, not only do you get the good games, the kami games, but you get shitty games, the kuso games. And so he is the kusoge hunter, the shitty games hunter, and he likes to play his shitty games and be the best at them because it's fun to be something bad at, or fun to be good at something that's terrible. But he comes across a game called Shangri-La Frontier, which is one of the fabled kami games, like the god games. And he gives it a shot, despite it not normally being in his wheelhouse, and he actually turns out to quite like it. I'm only about 4 or 5 episodes into this. I'm not currently caught up with the most recent things, but where we currently are, we've just entered the Magical Bunny world. So, this little side quest about the Magical Bunny world, which is kind of interesting. I love his whole demeanor towards video games. I love playing shitty games and watching people play shitty games. But I also love my fair share of games that are just balls to the wall fantastic. And I love to be just watching this every week because honestly, if you're a big fan of video games and stuff like that, I think this is probably one that will be worth your time, even if you're not a big fan of video game anime. I don't know, it scratches a particular itch for me, and I think it's really good. So give this one a watch, please. Joining Migi and Dolly, we have Undead Unluck, which is really, really great and action-packed, and has a lot of very meaningful moments in it. I don't really have too much to say other than the fact that if you haven't seen Undead Unluck, please go watch it, and if you're a fellow Canadian like me, who basically has to do some certain means in order to actually watch this show, because fuck you, America, then go do this, because it is a fantastic show. And I really wish they'd licensed it here. But as of the recording of this video on the 3rd of December, they haven't. So I'm kind of stuck here. But that's all I'm going to say about that. Great show. Go watch it. And I'll probably be picking up the manga after this is done, because this is going to be a fun show. But we have it for 24 episodes, so we got a long ways to go. Next up, I gave the disgraced noble lady a lesson in naughtiness, I believe is the title of this. It's something along those lines, but it gets a D. Just, I find the character interactions between the main cast to be fine. I love the VAs, because Tomokazu Sugita, which is, people like Kyon from Haruhi and Gintoki, and Saori Hayami, one of my favorite VAs in general in Japanese media. Very good. Having them together is a treat, but the story itself isn't anything too exciting, so I didn't really give this more than 2 episodes. If you want to give it a shot, you can, but would I recommend it? Not really. I think there's better things to keep your attention on. Moving on to another show in the on hold category, we have Tear Moon Empire. I've given this 1 episode and I haven't watched more yet, but it is currently on hold because I have a lot of other stuff to get through. But I will watch it because from what I have seen from episode 1, I'm going to like this. If you don't know the basic story of this one, it is between this princess right here, who is kind of a not amalgamation, but kind of like a embodiment of Marie Antoinette, the final queen of France before the French Revolution. And she is about to be executed for her crimes until a fate of luck comes along her way, which reverts her back to her childhood years and gives her basically a second lease on life. And she will do anything in her power to prevent herself from getting the chop. It is kind of like a similar-ish presence, or similar premise, that's the word, to some of the Otome game series, like Villainess and the one from last season, which for some reason is blanking in my head, Heretical Last Boss Queen, there we go, where it is a character, in this case it's a fantasy, so it's not an isekai, but it's a character who has an idea of what is going to happen to them in the future, and so they were doing everything in their power to stop it from happening by being friends with everybody and basically trying to fix the country. So it's on hold for now. I will continue to watch it, but I do have a lot of other things in my backlog, so for now it's here. Moving on, we have another D-tier show, The Family Circumstances of the Irregular Witch. It is just a simple slice of life kind of show about a witch, which is this one right here, who has essentially come into the adoptionship of a witch apprentice, and they grow up together and they learn about witchcraft and all sorts of stuff to become good witches. I'm not giving a great description of it, but it's basically what it is. And the witch apprentice, it's kind of one of these funny, like, mother-daughter situations where it's like the one looks like the other, because this is the older one, the little blonde lolly, and the older one is this tall, dark, in both ways dark, witch woman. That's just, it's one of those stories, and it's just, that's what it really is. We get a lot of goofing about their height, and she's kind of like a child mentally, even though she looks more like a woman than her own mother does. So that's what it is. And I don't know, it's not too interesting, but it's just there in passing. If you want to check it out, you can, but it's not really for me. And then we're moving on to Our Dating Story, The Experienced You and the Inexperienced Me. I'm giving this one a C, but I will put this on the caveat that just like with Pig Liver, I have dropped the show. It's the simple premise where you have this lonely boy who gets into the relationship with basically the hottest girl in the school, who is also later learned out to be in the first episode that she is basically the town bicycle, that every boy has basically had their hands on her and more. But we do get this budding relationship because this boy right here is nothing like the others, because he's kind of a nerdy dweeb, so he has no reason to basically take advantage of the one girl who actually said yes to him, which we learn it, and it's not too big of spoilers, but we learn that the girl that we see in the initial first episode who rejected him is actually related to Miss Runa, this girl right here. I think it's her sister. They just have different last names, but it's her sister. So that leads to an interesting love triangle of a sense. It's fine for what it is. It's your basic romance with like a little bit of a love triangle, but it's nothing that's really keeping me captivated. Even the boobies are not keeping me captivated. So it is what it is. It goes here. You can check it out if you want a simple romance comedy, but for me, nah. S tier gets another member in Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This has been an absolute treat. I recently just caught up with the most recent episode, so I'm kind of familiar with what's been going on in the story now, and I gotta say, it's been a absolute fun ride that we've been going through. I'm not going to say too much on Frieren because I want anybody who wants to watch it, go in blind. But if you're a manga reader, still go watch it. Like, it's absolutely great. I love the interactions between our main three of Frieren, the lovely white-haired elf, and then we have the lovely, tall, purple-haired lady named Stark, and our adventurer prodigy. Stark is the adventurer prodigy, and this is Fern. I completely messed that one up. But I love the interactions between these three. The art is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And, I don't even know what I can really say about it. Just go watch it. That's all I'll say. Go watch it. This is probably the best show of the season. Didn't watch Girlfriend Season 2 because I haven't seen the original. Don't know what this one is. Haven't seen it. Let's move on to Shy, which is our first B tier. It has a lot of themes about, trauma, depression, and stuff in certain people's categories. And, I mean, to some degree, it also is featuring that in a lot of everyone's stories, to some degree, of some kind of past trauma. And these are a gang of superheroes who are kind of leveraging their powers to help the world and deal with an overarching threat, which is kind of like raw emotions personified. I don't know if I'm putting that in quite the right way, but that's kind of what the show is. Art style looks really nice. I like the characters. More specifically, I like, her hero name is Spirit, but her name is Pepesha. She's like this very stereotypical, like, tall, blonde Russian who's always drunk. It's really, I love her a lot. It's both her and the essentially black Hatsune Miku, in the sense that she looks like Hatsune Miku, but her hair is just black. I don't remember what her name is, but she is from Switzerland. She's great. And she's like a medic. And then, of course, we have our main character, Shy, who is this white-haired girl in the white outfit. And she is very, as the name suggests, shy. It's a B. I think it's a good show. It's not quite getting to the same ranks as Miki and Dolly and Undead Unluck, but I don't think it's anywhere near a C. I think it's kind of right there. It's in a good category, but not super amazing, right? Sorry to anyone who says otherwise, but that's just what I think. Moving on to another show that's in the D category, we have Stardust Telepath. This is one about this girl who's really into space and aliens and such, who comes into contact with this girl in the pink, which you can kind of see on my cursor, who is an alien, and with her whole alien language and all. And they have a goal together that they want to get to space in order to return Miss Pink-haired girl to her home planet, because she actually is an alien, and I think she's the only one that actually believes it. It's kind of, it's your basic cute girls doing cute things kind of show, but it's kind of like, I don't know, cute girls doing space things didn't really interest me, with Asteroid in Love is the English name of it. Koizuru Asteroid. You can look up Asteroid in Love. You'll know what I'm talking about, from 2020. But I don't know. It's kind of like that. It just didn't really captivate me too much, even though I do like the character designs. Would I recommend it? No, but I don't think it's the worst show on like this list. And now, I've just seen what's up next. You want a dumpster fire? This is a dumpster fire. A Girl and Her Guard Dog. If you are not familiar with this, let me just say a few things. So this is Isaku-chan. I don't remember what her other name is, but her name is Isaku. And she is the daughter of a Yakuza who had recently died, and she was then put into the foster care of this man right here, Keiya Uto, who was kind of like a Yakuza himself, but he wasn't exactly to the rank that Isaku's father was. And then they grow up together, and Keiya is naturally very protective of his surrogate, foster daughter, whatever. So naturally he's very close to her, and she was very close to him, even though at times she finds him to be off-putting. But as she's growing up, she's starting to go to school, like into high school, and wants to have a more normal life, which she tries to attend a normal school far away because everybody knows she's Yakuza, and they don't really want to interact with her because the Yakuza are scary. But where the problem in this story takes place is the fact that, as you can probably tell by the poster a little bit, they have a pretty close relationship. And I mean that. While it's in different ways of being foretold, they both love each other. So the foster daughter and the foster father love each other. It's fucking crazy. People like to compare this. I haven't read or seen Usagi Drop, but I know what Usagi Drop is about. And to some people who compare the two, I can see exactly where you're getting at, because it's the same basic premises of this man adopting a daughter. And, spoilers for anybody who hasn't read the manga, but from what I know about Usagi Drop, the two of them fall in love. And it's that's one thing that I'll always say, man. Fiction for fiction's sake, right? You're still never going to convince me on the incest. You're never going to convince me on that. And that's not exactly what's going on here, because it's like, obviously it's not blood-related kind of shit, but it's still very off-putting. There's one line in particular in A Girl and Her Guard Dog that really rubbed me the wrong way. In the previous episode, they were in they were on the beach. They were going to have like a bit of summer fun. Isaku and her friends and whatever. And one thing that was noticeable is that Isaku never took off her jacket or her sweater or whatever to show off her swimsuit, right? And that was kind of like, you'd notice it, but like it wouldn't really come up too much. Come to episode 5, Keiya is in need of some kind of reward, quote unquote, to help him study, because his grades are really bad, right? And because he obviously tried to float the idea of kissing Isaku, which she vehemently denied, he had another request. I want to see you in the swimsuit. And by the end of the episode, we have Isaku in a swimsuit in an inflatable pool area, and she takes off the jacket. And I hear one of the worst lines I've ever heard in an anime, especially this year, where Keiya looks at Isaku and says, "You grew into the body I like," or something like that. And I had a physical moment when I heard that, because you don't say that. That's just really gross. Like, I can see why people have called this the grooming anime, because to some degree, I mean, you can see how that's like perfectly apt. Like, I don't really know what to say about this, but I'm still watching it because it's a dumpster fire. Not to mention the animation. the animation after like episode 2 just completely takes a nosedive in quality. Like episode 1, the quality was not too bad. But when we fast forward to the most recent episode of episode 10, oh my god, weird animation choices that make Miki and Dolly's look really good. Which, to be fair, Miki and Dolly's are good. But the animation quality for like certain movements, like someone holding in laughter with their hand covering their face, looks so clunky. It's like when you take like paper and like you're like moving paper together to make it look like motion, and then models are looking very off. Like, proportions are very weird, colors are very weird, and, like, you can see clips of things phasing through each other. Oh my god, it's so bad. But I can't stop watching it. It's so bad in so many ways, but I fucking love it. So, would I recommend A Girl and Her Guard Dog to you? No. Do not watch this. Do not watch anything like this. But if you want to, I can't stop you. All I know is that I think that this is not something worth your time, but it's something that I'm watching because I get some kind of fucking enjoyment out of this weird shit. But moving on to something a little bit more vanilla, I guess. Berserk of Gluttony, which I'm currently only on about episode 5, but I think it's fine. It's nothing super interesting. It's a kind of basic isekai power fantasy story about this one guy who's got to satiate his gluttony curse that he has by killing things. And part of that comes into contact with this cursed sword that he has called Greed, which will help him in this aim. And we meet other characters like Holy Knights, like this one on the screen here in the blonde hair, which is Roxy Hart. And she is supposedly one of the good ones, because the Holy Knights, as is typical in a lot of anime with holy knights, are assholes. So, you get that. But it's nothing too special. I can't really talk too much about it. It's just, it's there. And I haven't really caught up with the most recent episodes, but I'm watching it because it's at least a bit enjoyable. My daughter left the nest and she came back to become an S-rank adventurer. I didn't really care about this one. I'm going to give it a D. I just skipped it. But I gave it one episode and it just wasn't for me. So I'm not saying it's the worst thing out there. Like, it's not shit. Like, it's not as bad as A Girl and Her Guard Dog. But it's just, I don't know. It didn't capture me, so I didn't watch it. Uma Musume, haven't seen. Bullbuster. The only thing I really know about Bullbuster is the fact that it's called Bullbuster, and it's made by Studio Nut, which I'm sure if you've seen the Giguk video, I mean, you would have already known that where that was going, right? Like, that's kind of funny to me. On hold will be I'm in Love with the Villainess. I saw one episode of this and I kind of soft dropped it, but I will return to this eventually. I've just had a lot on my plate right now. Basic story, so I don't run this video too long. This brown-haired girl comes into the world with her favorite villainess, which is this girl right here. So we have Ray Taylor, which is the brown hair, and then Claire Francois, who is the yellow-haired one. And Claire is usually part of a group that bullies Ray, and I believe it's a game, so naturally she has some kind of knowledge about what the situation is. But in this world, Ray is operated by somebody who really likes the game, and so she really enjoys Claire Francois, and so she takes the bullying and is like, yes, please, give me more, I love you, Claire Francois, and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's crazy. It's on hold for now, but I will check this one out again. Just for now, I got other things I have to get watching right now, like some of my other shows, but it'll be there. Firefighter Daigo, or Daigo, I don't remember what it is. It's on hold as well. I haven't gotten a chance to watch this one because I've been busy a lot with, I don't know, mostly IRL stuff, but also playing a lot of video games, so it'll have to come back. This one I'm putting in skip because I don't know what this one is. S tier joins with Ron Kamonohashi's Forbidden Deductions. God, I'm really shooting my voice here. So Ron Kimonohashi's Forbidden Deductions is this story here about these two guys right here. The black-haired one named Ron Kimonohashi. And then we have Totomaru Ishiki, which is his associate. And they come into contact with each other, and they begin to solve mysteries for each other. Ron is this kind of very intelligent detective. And there's like part of the reason why he was like only brought in to this partnership with Totomaru is because Totomaru was like going to check in on Ron Kimonohashi because he tries to shut himself from the outside world, because he has this affliction that whenever he hears about a mystery, he's inclined to solve it with this 100% focus. And at times that could be crazy. So he tries to shut himself out from it, but clearly he hears something on the news when he takes his headphones out, and he's infatuated. And so the two of them go on to solve a mystery together, which opens up the problem of why Ron Kimonohashi is generally not seen as a very fond detective. Is because at the end of the stories, or at the end of the mysteries, he basically awakens something in his brain that like is out of his control, that can basically tell anybody that he wants, like, which is the criminals in this case, to kill themselves, and they will. It's like mind control. So that's why he's also kind of shut off, and not a lot of people are trying to be too fond of him, because, you know, he does a lot of bad things like that, even though he's a complete genius. I've seen up to the most recent episode, so I can say for certain that from what I have seen, this is a fantastic show. Fantastic mystery, really great character dynamics between Ron and Toto. I love those two together. And we also meet some interesting characters along the way, including some of the more recent ones in the planetarium that they were just at. So yeah, very fantastic. I recommend giving this one if you like mystery and detective shows, because these are fantastic. This is fantastic. I'm not going to say too much about this because you already know what I think about Spy Family. It gets in an A category. It's not quite an S, but from what I have seen of this season, it's great. So let's move on to some other stuff. Haven't seen Hanako-kun, so I can't really rate it. Second one into the B category is 16-Bit Sensation Another Layer, which is an anime about this girl here named Konoha, who travels back in time after opening a box from one of her old Bishoujo games. I almost said V-shoujo, but Bishoujo. Not like the VTuber agency. Which transports her back in time to the date of when this game was created, which was 1992. Because the backstory of this kind of thing is that she's kind of working like a deadbeat job, and she's like a big fan of Bishoujo games and stuff, and eroge, but she really hates her company that she works for in the current year of 2023. How apt. Because they make low-effort eroge trash. So her being transported back into the age of Bishoujo games on like the old PC 98 and all sorts of the introductions to Windows, it's a very interesting time. Though a lot of her skill is not exactly useful, because as she comes from almost 30 years in the future, they don't have tablets and stylus pens to draw with, so she has to learn a whole new skill to do this. But eventually it does come to knowledge that she is some kind of time traveler by at least the main boy in this situation right here. The other one's just the kind of thing she just disappears for like years on end. And the only way for her to get back, seemingly, is by finishing the game that they've been working on. And then she gets transported back to the future. And the only way to go back is to open another game. But I think it has to be a specific game that was gotten from the merchant that she had purchased the original game from, which gave her these games that when she opened them, she got transported to another world. But it's not only her that can transport into the past. But we'll save that. Overall, though, I think it's a fun show. I don't think it's the best thing ever, but I do think it's a fun watch every Wednesday. And I think it's my only Wednesday show, so it's a pretty easy watch. I think it's at least worth giving it an episode or two and seeing what you think, because as soon as you see what episode 1 and 2 are about, you kind of know what's on the tin. Hikikomori Vampire goes up in the A category. Also called The Vexations of a Shut-In Vampire Princess. This is a great, great show, in my opinion. It's not quite getting into the S, but it's pretty respectable. And by the way, none of these rankings really are in the accurate position, except for maybe Free Ren. So this is a story about this blonde girl here named Terakomari Gandusblood, and she is a vampire with a very weak constitution because she doesn't like to drink blood. So naturally, she's kind of like a wimp, and she's been bullied in the past by people who are stronger than her and always seen as some kind of a failure. But she is eventually given a blessing to be one of the main vampire leaders, kind of to give her a new lease on life. And she takes it to full advantage, despite the fact that, a lot of the things that she has to do, they're influenced by other people because she doesn't really have the power to stop like whole armies and stuff. So it's kind of like a mixture of illusions to make it seem like she's so powerful when it's other people doing it, or very good propaganda, which gets her a very good reputation. But it's very action-packed. It's pretty funny at times, too. And the maid right here, man, she is something else. Like, she has a pretty cool power, but she's also very attached to Komari. Very attached. But I'll say that about that. If you want to give this one a watch, I definitely recommend giving it a watch, because I think it's fun if you're kind of into this kind of stuff. So, yeah. This one with a dog on the poster, I don't know what this is. I don't think I've ever seen this one. This is another racing anime, which, again, I don't really care for racing, so I kind of skipped it. Kingdoms of Ruin gets a D. I don't really think anything of this show. It's just a story about this man here, Adonis, who is seeking to get revenge on humanity for killing the witch master that he had, because humans decided that now that we have science and technology, we're going to just commit genocide against witches. And it's kind of like a dark power fantasy kind of thing, very edgy. It's like, oh, I'm going to kill humanity. And none of the characters are really all that infatuating or interesting, apart from the one character, the witch apprentice, who was literally murdered. So that's unfortunate. VR MMO, I have not seen this one. I don't really plan to. On hold, we also have, shockingly, The Apothecary Diaries. This came out at a time where I was getting a little bit more busy, so I didn't have time to first check it out. And there's currently, I think, 9 or 10 episodes out right now, so I have a lot to watch. But I will be watching this one for sure, because it was in my video, and I'd be stupid to not do so. This one I don't recognize, and it's in here twice. I don't want to say what it is, because I don't know if it's true, because it could easily be one of these other shows in here, but I want to say it's Eminence in Shadow. One of these shows in here is Eminence of Shadow, and I haven't seen season 1 yet, but I do plan on watching season 1 eventually, and then we will see if I will watch season 2. But for now I haven't, but I will watch Eminence in Shadow. I Shall Survive Using Potions. I have not watched this one. I'll put it on hold. I won't skip it. I'll put it on hold because it seems like a kind of thing I would watch, but I just don't really have the time at the very moment to do so. I have no idea what this is. Kawagoe Boys Sing. Didn't watch it. I can't tell what this one is just by this poster. Haven't seen Dr. Stone because I just haven't seen Dr. Stone. At this point, it's coming like a meme that I haven't seen it. But on to something that I have seen. 100 Girlfriends Who Really, 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 Really Love You. Gets in the A categories. I don't need to say too much about this. It's a very fun comedy romance show about a guy who gets the blessed ability to have 100 girlfriends after being rejected by 100 girls in the past. and we meet a whole fun cast of characters. You have your basic kudere, tsundere archetypes. You have this girl who's very shy and can't speak with anything, who needs to use a phone to communicate through fantasy books. We have this girl who's very lovey. I know all their names, but I'm just kind of speed running this a little bit. And then we have this one who's kind of a scientist. I haven't seen her in the show yet because I'm not caught up to the main episodes right now, but I know that she is some kind of scientist based on, what they show you in the OP. Then we have this one, which is some kind of... It was titled Precure on MyAnimeList. I haven't seen it. This one I'm not familiar with, so it's going there. I really wish I could tell what some of these were. Okay, so I'm just going to slap all these ones here. And this one too. This one too. Tokyo Revengers. I haven't seen that one because, I don't know, I just haven't seen the first season of Tokyo Revengers, so I think it would be pointless to go into this. Let me just get all the ones I haven't seen out of the way first. Okay, here, 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 here. I know this one is Pluto. This one's on hold for now. We got Goblin Slayer again, for some reason. Here, this one. I think this one is... I'm trying to remember the name of it. Kengan Ashura, I think. Cause it looks like the style of the Kengan Ashura, artist. Because he also does stuff for Dumbbell. How heavy are the dumbbells you lift? So, I at least recognize that. I hope I'm not wrong. My Hero Academia movie, I assume this one is. I haven't seen that one. Whatever this one is, it's on Netflix. I haven't seen it yet, but I'll put it on hold. I don't know what this one is. This looks like some Godzilla thing that I've never seen. Haven't seen this. Haven't seen this. And haven't seen this. And this is the last one that's on a skip. Or actually, no, not a skip. It's on hold. My new boss is Goofy. I just haven't seen it yet, but I've heard it's good. To finish off the stuff that we haven't seen, though, or that we have seen, Protocol Rain D. It's an esports anime, and the only thing I really only really remember about it is this one girl here. She's like an actress, but she's also like the mysterious gamer girl that they're talking about in the show, and that she has the appearance of Ruka from Rent-A-Girlfriend, but the voice of Chizuru from Rent-A-Girlfriend, which is interesting. But that's the only interesting thing about that. And to close off the list, let's get into something that's going to be a phenomenal show, in my opinion. S tier is joined by the Yuzuki family's 4 sons. This is a very simple show about... about a family of 4 brothers, and they are living together as a unit after the death of their parents. You do have the one brother who's a teacher, so he is at least the one adult in the family. And then you have his younger brothers who are all in high school and elementary school. Or middle school, I don't remember which one. I think they're both in high school, the 2 middle ones. And it's very cute. It deals with a lot of issues about growing up, dealing with the aftermath of the death of their parents. And then we get into stories about friendship and romance and all sorts of things, including brotherly squabbles and dealing with all sorts of issues that brothers would deal with. And as someone who has 2 brothers, I understand some of these situations very well. I can't say too much more. I'm caught up with this one, and it's a fantastic show to watch every week. It's very wholesome, very cute, and it's one of the shows in this season that gets you really emotional, like, every time you fucking watch it. Like, so good. And if you have any, doubts on the Yuzuki family's 4 sons, please go watch it. I think it's completely worth your time. But with that being said, that's the list. So, as you can see, the skip list is quite huge. It is what it is. And then we have a whole list of stuff that I have seen and stuff that I am yet to see. So let's quickly run over the stuff that is from on hold to S, because you can already see all the stuff that's on the skip. So the stuff that I currently have on hold is Akuma-kun, Tear Moon Empire, I'm in Love with a Villainess, Firefighter Daigo, The Apothecary Diaries, I Shall Survive Using Potions, Pluto, whatever this one is, I can't recognize it by the poster, and My New Boss is Goofy. In the D category, which is shows that are either stuff that I kind of dropped and didn't think too much of, or shows that I thought were kind of garbage, we have the Demon Sword Master of Excalibur Academy, Ragna Crimson, the Disgraced Noble Lady getting a lesson in naughtiness, something like that, The Family Circumstances of the Irregular Witch, Stardust Telepath, A Girl and Her Guard Dog, S-Rank Daughter Adventurer, The Kingdoms of Ruin, and Protocol Rain. In the C category, we have Under Ninja, Heat the Pig Liver, Our Dating Story, and Berserk of Gluttony. In the B category, we have Shy and 16-Bit Sensation. In A, we have Migi and Dolly, Undead Unluck, Spy Family Season 2, Vexations of a Shut-In Vampire Princess, and 100 Girlfriends. And finally, for S, we have Frieren Beyond Journey's End, Shangri-La Frontier, Ron Komonohashi's Forbidden Deductions, and the Yuzuki family's 4 Sons. Now, if you want to share any of your thoughts on any of the shows that are on my list or anything that wasn't discussed, and if you have any questions and comments and stuff on my list, and you want to give your opinion on that, please leave them in the comments below. But until then, just leave whatever you want to say, and let's go from there. Anyway, my name is Kareniya. Be sure to check back on this channel soon enough anyway, because I will start to be working on my Winter 2024 video as for what I will be watching. So if there's anything that you wish to give for me to recommend to check out for Winter 2024, please let me know. And that'll be it. My name is Kareniya, and don't forget, you're always welcome in Kareniya's room. See ya.